Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome along to the Rangers Rabble podcast. And Rangers are officially back now. I don't think the Dumbarton game didn't really count, did it? So Rangers are officially back in league action in the capital away at Hibs. I'm joined tonight by Connor. I was going to call you Dougal there. Iain and Stuart. Hello to everybody in the comments. Hello to everybody watching. Get your comments in. Get liking and subscribing and all that. See if we get 150 likes on this build-up. I will cut that wee bit of hair that keeps flowing because they man nothing. So yeah, get your comments in, get liking, get sharing, get subscribing, and all that good stuff. Let's just jump into it, lads, shall we? Connor, it's good to have Rangers back. Maybe I'm being a wee bit dismissive in saying, the Dumbarton game, whatever, it was lower league opposition.
Yeah.
It feels like we're properly back tonight, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's like you say, without being disrespectful to Dumbarton, it was low league opposition. So in terms of proper competitive game of football, this is certainly the bigger one because, the expectation was that, we would have gone out on Saturday and done pretty much what we've done and sort of comfortably get ourselves over the line. We obviously made a number of changes in that game as well when we were comfortable and stuff. So now this is the proper stuff back again. And this is obviously important because this is one of the games in hand. So this is an opportunity to call back some points, get that gap back down to 5 with the aim being getting to back to 2, obviously, when we play the next game in hand. So no, I totally agree. This is properly back now. That's how, unlike the Dumbarton game, that slight pre-match nerves you get when you're playing particularly an away game in the league, always hits you a wee bit.
Look at Connor. I can do basic maths. Ooh, look at me. I can count back the way. Oh, yeah, well done, Connor. Well done. Can I just say, Field, top-rated facial hair pod. I probably shouldn't have put us all on together because, I mean, the sex appeal is it's flying out for myself, Stuart and Iain. It's absolutely, the beards are just fantastic, and obviously Connor's here as well. Stuart, there was a lot of chat about team lineups and stuff. A lot of the chat was going to be, is Silva going to start? I mean, for me, he was always going to start, right? But before we come to the team selection, Stuart, I have to ask: was Scott Kerr winding me up when he said that Balogun was going to be suspended? I think I had convinced everybody who watches this show that Leon Balogun wasn't available tonight.
I don't know. That was doing the rounds on social media, but yeah, he's
unless we're fielding an ineligible player, in which case
he's 100% eligible for tonight. So there's absolutely no risk on it. So I don't know where that came from. So no, he's we're not under any scrutiny in that one. As for the Silva thing, yeah, I agree with you. I always thought he would start. I think the question was what position was he going to be? Was he going to be in that 9 or was he going to come from the left-hand side? I thought he would go with Dessers and Silva coming from the left, but he's obviously thought against that, whether that's because of the way Hibs play. They do like to try and play out from the back. They will try and have a go tonight. Maybe he's just thought that there'll be space there for Matondo to exploit. So that was it. But yeah, I thought he was always going to play. I don't see Silva struggling for game time while he's here, if he's fit, to be honest.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Ian, I'll come to you on Silva in a wee second, but what I'll actually do for the benefit of everybody watching, although I'm pretty much guessing that everybody watching this right now has seen the starting lineup, but I will read it out anyway. The team for tonight is Butland in goal, obviously, and then it's a back four of Tavernier, Suter, Balogun, and Ridvan. Midfield three of Lundstrom, Raskin, and Todd Cantwell, and then a front three of Ross McCausland, Rabbe Matondo, and Fabio Silva. So just Iain sticking with the Silva chat then. Because we've seen him like once or twice, so we're all experts on his best position and stuff like that, Iain. So without embarrassing myself, I'm going to say for me, from what I've seen, I don't think he's a striker. I think he's more a creative attacking midfielder. So is there any worries from yourself that he's the man leading the line?
I'm not worried that he's leading the line.
And he'll score a hat trick now that I've said that, of course.
Probably. I'm not going to put any money on that, though. He mainly because I haven't got any.
I don't think you've got enough plates.
No. Well, they've built up because obviously we've had a winter break, so I've been able to get them back. But no, I'm not surprised he's playing him through the middle because obviously he's got to try him there at some point. He's a front three player. Everyone moans that Dessers is playing, and then the minute he gets taken out, it's, well, he doesn't play there, so why don't we start with Dessers? I kind of expected him to be on the left-hand side, but he's given Matondo a run. So, and if Sima been here and not injured and not the AFCON wasn't playing, would he have took Sima out to play Silva? Would have still put him through the middle. I mean, Sima's predominantly a left-sided player, but we've all been saying that maybe we should give him a run through the middle as well. So it's not a surprise that Silva's starting there. And I do find that Dessers tends to be a bit better coming off the bench and getting involved in games than starting. So only time will tell. Looking forward to actually seeing him start a game, though, because like you said, we've only seen him in scraps here and there. And I don't think you could judge the Dumbarton game at all on the way he played because that pitch was awful. But he still managed to get a few good touches and run with the ball. And I thought we played quite well considering the conditions against Dumbarton. So we shall see what we shall see when this game starts.
Martin, just before is that I do wonder our lack of striking options, whether that's actually played a part. Is he thinking he doesn't want to play both of them to start in case, the injuries happen and then he's completely goosed? I don't know. Maybe that could be a potential. He did start up top against Copenhagen. He does put himself about. I agree with you. I don't think he's a 9. I think he said that to himself. In an interview that he's not a 9, not that he can't play it, but that's not his kind of preferred position. But I think he's decent in terms of finding space and bringing people into the game. So I still think it's a job that he can do.
There's a lot of people, Stuart, in the comments, and this is going into football manager territory here. The Craig Levine inspired false 9.
Yeah. Does anybody really know what the false 9 is, though? That's the mystery, isn't it? Look, I think he will drop deep. He will try and find space. And I think, as I just mentioned there, I think he's got an intelligence about him that he can pick a pass. He always seems to be, the games that we've seen so far, he's got time on the ball. Even when there probably isn't a lot of time, he looks as if he makes time for himself. And if Hibs, like I say, try and come at us, which I think they will, because I think that's what this manager, how they want to play, which is fair enough, then he could find those pockets of space to either play in your Cantwells, or if you've then got the pace in behind of both Matondo and McCausland, he can do that.
Sorry, I wasn't laughing at you there, Stuart. David P. Silva can play across the front four. Let's not put labels on it. It's 2024 people, everyone, anyone. Yes, absolutely. Before I read the everyone, anyone, I thought that was going in a different direction, as you can all understand, because it's David commenting. David's comments can literally go anywhere. Connor, even though your internet's slightly failing us tonight, I'm going to ask you a question, and I fear the backlash of the question that I'm going to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I'm no fear. Is Dessers unlucky to be dropped?
I wouldn't say so. No,
I don't know why I went all high pitched there, but
no. I don't know. Your best. I don't know. Maybe somebody put your bits in a vice there or something. I don't know.
I watched a lot of Monty Python last night. I'm not going to lie.
No, listen, I don't think he's unlucky to be dropped at all. I think, we've brought in Fabio Silva clearly with the aim for him to try and aid in getting goals up front. And Dessers has had many, many opportunities. I think he'll probably come on off the bench. I don't think Silva's going to do the full 90 minutes, but you don't bring somebody like Silva in and then, keep playing and keep sticking with a guy in Dessers who's just not clicking at the moment.
Scoring the goals, but Connor, scoring the goals.
Well, is he? Though, I mean,
yeah.
the odd one here or there, but how many chances is he needing before he scores?
Oh, I'm not gonna. I'm not sitting here saying that Dessers should start before Silva. I'm just saying Dessers has scored a few goals when we've needed him to score them.
He has, and I suppose that's a fair point. But I think that you've got to give, Silva the opportunity in these games to see what he can do, because ultimately, I mean, again, we don't know a great deal about his ability because we've not seen much of him since he came in, and at Wolves he wasn't getting a lot of game time of late either. But the way I see it, Wolves paid a fairly hefty fee to bring Fabio Silva to their club. So for us to have him on loan for the next 6 months, it tells me that there must be something about him for them to have paid that kind of money that they've paid for him. So I think...
But in money terms, Connor, that would be like us giving Sam Lammers to East Fife.
Well, aye, pretty much, exactly right, yeah.
And Sam Lammers would not do a job for East Fife. That's the point I was making.
Well, he wouldn't, no. But to be fair, that is Sam Lammers, I mean, there is only one in him. Well, I don't know. I'm excited to see what Fabio Silva can do tonight. I'm hoping he gets himself involved in this goal sheet. He's had some moments where he's, looked all right at times. I'd have to say, without really getting that first goal under his belt. But we've got to try, because I still think we need another striker before the window's shut. I hope we bring one in.
Preferably one Connor who can score penalty kicks, or does that not really matter?
Well, I mean, listen, at our club we've got Tav for that, so I don't think we need to worry too much about that side of things.
Missing the target for 7 yards out, blazing it over the bar.
Well, for penalty kicks, yeah, but if you're taking chances, still scoring goals.
That wasn't a penalty. However, I am being facetious. I am feeling in a very facetious mood tonight, I must admit. But yeah, right, before we discuss the individual players then, Iain, what's your thoughts on the actual game tonight? My memory's shocking, right? My memory is absolutely dreadful. So I'm trying to think back to previous games against Hibs, and in my head, I've just got the impression that it's always a difficult place for us to go.
It is a difficult place, but only because we've allowed it to become a difficult place to go in some games, in some cases. We know what's going to happen. They're going to come firing out. All guns are blazing in that first sort of 15, 20 minutes. They're going to try and get that early goal to sit back on. They do it all over and over and over again. I have had a quick look at their team, and I know that they're there. Mr. Quick is not playing tonight. Boyle's out. So Ridvan's got one less thing to worry about on that side. But obviously they've got some new players in, so we don't know what they're going to bring. But it shouldn't be easy going to another team's home. We should have to put a fight in. We should just play our game. Because again, I think if we play our game with the players that we have, then Hibs shouldn't be a problem for us. We should be able to win this game, and comfortably. It's just got to get through that first 15, 20 minutes at Easter Road, which is always tricky because they are going to come out. They treat us pretty much like everybody else treats us. It is a cup final, much like Aberdeen. It's pretty much the only time they play, but they have already stopped Celtic scoring there and taken 2 points off them. So,
I think we need to not give credit. Not give credit. I will never give credit.
I said mindful, not give credit.
Yeah, let's be mindful, and that's 100% right. It was me that nearly said give credit. Let's be mindful. I think Montgomery's actually come into Hibs, and I think he's doing a decent job in terms of the way that he wants Hibs to play. He's got a clear identity about the way that he wants to take Hibs forward, which has to be commended for somebody to come into Scotland and do that, because as we know, the vast majority of teams are hammer throwers. Right, before I get Stuart's thoughts on the game, a man who's slightly more important, not much more though, because if you ever met Stuart, I mean, the charisma just flows off him. You just get attracted to the man. But before we hear from Stuart, let's hear from the manager.
Philippe, it's the return of the Scottish Premiership tonight. What are you expecting from this game in Edinburgh?
Yeah, it's always a difficult place to go against a good technical team who are always dangerous, who play attacking football. So I think for everybody who wants to watch this game is going to enjoy, because it's two teams who want to attack, and I expect a game with a lot of chances. And of course, I want to win this game like all the dressing ones have.
Your squad have obviously had that camp in Spain, the Dumbarton game since returning. Do you feel they're in a good place heading into this game?
Yes, for sure. The lads been working really hard. They had a good game against Copenhagen, what's a really good team. They did a good job in Dumbarton in those circumstances to score 4 goals. Was good. And now we need to continue what we were doing before the winter break. And that's getting a lot of points in the league. And it's a challenging week with directly a start with 2 difficult away games.
A word on team news. It's a first competitive start for Fabio Silva. What are you hoping he can bring tonight?
What he's been doing in the training and in the friendlies, so to combine good with the other players, to come in good positions to score goals or give assists, and to work hard for the team. So a lot of people are judging our strikers only on goals, but they do much more. So for me, it's important that all the team is scoring the goals, and we've been doing the last couple of months. We scored a lot of goals. We can improve in that way, for sure. There's still steps to make to be more efficient, but I see the team creating more and more chances and scoring more and more goals. So we're on the right way, and we're going to continue like that.
Defensively as well, what do your squad need to be aware of from Hibs this evening?
Yeah, they have a lot of pace. They put they have a new winger today also, who was a great talent in France. I know him from before. He didn't play much in the first part of the season in Hertha Berlin, so I don't know what his game fitness is, but it's a player with a lot of technical qualities and speed and power. So they're gonna use him probably on the wings and put one of the other wingers as a central striker. So it's clear they will have a lot of pace and they try to hurt us in that way.
And just finally, can I ask you about Abdallah Sima? You expected to have an update on him today. Can you give us any more information on his injury?
Yeah, that Abda had his operation and the surgeon was really happy the way it went. So it was a good operation. Everything went well, and he will be out for between 2 and 3 months. So he's positive. Abda is somebody who's always working hard. So we expect him to be back as fast as possible in a healthy way, of course, and that we can count on him at the end of the season.
2 or 3 months, that's about right in the stones, isn't it? Just quickly on that then, Stuart. In fact, before you come in on that, the boss talked about people who would want to be watching the game tonight. If you are watching on Rangers TV and you're just waiting to board your flight to be able to go and watch it, you'll need to be quick, right enough. Then you can take that flight with NordVPN. You can get up to 63% off a 2-year deal with Nord, which will allow you to watch the game tonight. You can get that by going to the link in the description and clicking on that link for NordVPN. Other deals are, of course, available. And if you use that link, then you help to support the podcast as well. And we do have another football prizes also sponsor the show, but we'll talk more about them in the reaction because we don't have long to go. And I can't wait to hear what Stuart thought of the manager's press conference. Well, pre-match.
Pretty much as expected. Yeah, that is a boot in the boys with regards to Sima. I think we potentially feared the worst, but we're maybe hoping that it was going to be more positive. I thought the fact that we brought that up in our pre-match, I was hoping that there was maybe going to be a wee bit more good news in that. The fact that we'd instigated it, but 2 to 3 months, it's going to be a massive loss. Sima has been one of the few successes in terms of summer signings that came in. We'd be pretty lost without his goals, and that is another void now in this team. I think it absolutely highlights the need what we're talking about. Where we need to bring in bodies in that front line. Whether that now means we need 1 or 2, I don't know. It'll be obviously down to the manager and who's available, but we are short in that area, and I feel sorry for him. It's going to the African nations was obviously a big thing for him. A Senegal team who have got a chance of winning that, to not play a minute and then to pick up an injury like that, a serious injury that meant he's had to go and get an operation is really disappointing for him personally. But yes, I think that's a big blow for us.
I know, and his agent obviously came out and said, well, apparently his agent came out and said that he loves it here and he wants to stay. I don't know, maybe if that was not on a transfer, but stay for his recovery and help towards the end of the season. Maybe that was more what his agent was getting at. Although I don't know if he came out and said that before the injury. I'm not too sure. Now, I read the team out, Ian, but I'll read it out really quickly again. Butland in goal, Tavernier, Suter, Balogun, Ridvan, Lundstrom, Raskin, Cantwell, McCausland, Matondo, and Silva. And I just want to find this comment because it's from one of our members. Here it is, AMAC Ian. What Cantwell is going to turn up tonight because he has been, and I would imagine that's supposed to say stinking, but it says sticking. He's been stinking this season. Todd Cantwell, much spoke about. I think he doesn't bring it on himself. He's just a young guy who likes to go on social media, and I've no issue with that at all. But then, of course, when fans don't think you're maybe playing your best and you've shown us what you can do, a lot of fans start talking. So, big game tonight for Todd.
At the moment, they're all big games for Todd. But like the social media thing, when we're winning, nobody cares. When we're losing, that's when they get upset about it. So, you can't have your cake and eat it, apparently.
Even when we win, people still moan about me.
That is true. But it's just the way the world is now. The social media is a thing. We just have to get used to the fact that it is there. Regardless of what we think of it, players are always going to use it. And we're not the only club with players who use social media. We're not the only club, particularly in Scotland, that use TikTok. So we just have to accept that that's what he does. And it's part of the modern game now. As stupid as that sounds to say, but it is. This is the Todd Cantwell bit that I think people were warning me about, that if he decides that I don't know if he thinks he's bigger than Rangers, I doubt that, but if he starts to think he's one of the big boys, then he starts to act like he's one of the big boys, and I don't have to do that sort of thing. Is that what's happening? Only time will tell on that. But when he's on it, I don't think there's anybody really in Scotland that can get near him. So the question's valid. Which type of Todd Cantwell are we going to get? I'm hoping it's the Todd Cantwell that's got his head screwed on and is ready to show us the Todd Cantwell of the last 6 months of last season. The Todd Cantwell of this time last year. That's the one I want to see.
Yeah, it would be nice tonight, wouldn't it? Anybody else jealous? Des Masson, evening from the Ibrox Bar in Tenerife. Wee bit raging. I wonder, I'll need to get in touch with some guys for the Rangers pubs in Spain, see if I can get a wee deal done where we can get shown on the tellies. A wee bit of advertisement for the podcast, eh?
So you're going to say a live show over there?
Oh, hey, whoa, don't you say that out loud because I'll do it. Don't you say that out. And my missus
Live show in Tenerife then, let's go.
I mean, it doesn't need to necessarily. I was thinking more Kendall, but yeah, if you want to go Tenerife, then we'll maybe have a look at it. I mean, I used to live in Ibiza, Benidorm, so we could maybe even look at doing one there. Yeah, Connor, just on Todd. I mean, he gets the criticism. Is he deserving of it? And is this a game that we're looking at where he can pull off one of the performances and people leave him alone?
I think he's deserving of a bit of criticism. I think some of it does go over the top, particularly when it pertains to like the social media stuff and all that, because quite frankly, that, as Ian said, that's just the world we live in, and people have to kind of get over that fact. And also, I'm never going to have a go at him for calling out the hypocrisy of some so-called pundits. As well.
No, that was class.
You can crack on to keep doing that, but I think his output on the pitch, it hasn't been as good as we've expected it to be, quite frankly.
Would you say, Connor, it's been as good or bad as what your camera is?
My camera? Mm-hmm. Well, it looks fine to me. So you might be seeing different images than I am. But no, I think he's got to step up to the plate and give us more. We need more goal contributions from him, because I think not just in terms of scoring goals, he doesn't get enough assists for me either. Particularly for an attacking midfielder, he should be far more involved. I think sometimes he does, he likes to do a bit too much when he's got the ball. Tries to do, I think, too many skills. Let's take people on all the time when he doesn't need to. And then I think, obviously we know he's had issues in terms of a few moments of being a bit of, throwing himself down easily and stuff, which isn't great. So, but if he puts in a performance tonight, that's how you silence the critics. Go and put in the performances. I actually thought that it's unfortunate because he's injured, but I thought against Motherwell, him and Kieran Dowell seemed to work really well together on that day. Unfortunately, Dowell is likely to be out for basically the remainder of the season, so we're not going to see that again. But maybe he can form that partnership with somebody else. I mean, look, we've got Raskin back in there today. So we'll see what happens with that. But ultimately, he's got to step up because when he came to all the buzz that came around him, and then in that first spell, he was performing well, he was doing well. And I believe firmly that if he can get onto form and get onto a game, he's up there as one of the best, if not the best midfielder in the country, if he can play to the top level that he has reached in the past.
Connor is using a high street CCTV camera. Absolutely love that. Oh, love it. Oh, I don't know. I'm feeling in a mischievous mood. I'm feeling very happy tonight, and I don't know why, because it's not like me. Stuart, Connor mentioned Raskin there. We've offended him. We've offended him. My apologies. Connor mentioned Raskin there. Is it good to see a kind of, well, I mean, I don't know how people will take this, but is it good to see a Raskin-Lundstrom combo in the midfield?
Look, I'm glad to see him back. I think Raskin again is one similar to Cantwell that I felt started really well and is kind of dipped or plateaued a wee bit. I think we were hoping this season we would see him push on. I know he's kind of had niggling injuries and then this kind of longer term one. But look, it's good to have him back. Sterling did a great job for us, but I'm not convinced that he was a long-term solution to us as a centre midfielder. The manager clearly adores John Lundstrom, so John Lundstrom is going to play. So I think it's clearly he wanted, a more natural midfielder in there, and Raskin will give you that. He will give you energy, whether or not he's got a full 90 in him, not sure. But look, I'm glad to see him back. I think he has got qualities. Again, very much like Cantwell, though. I think it's about now. Can we see them coming out? It's a big end to the season for both those players. But glad to have him back because we, like I say, we're short in the middle of the park as well at the moment. So it's nice to be welcoming somebody back from an injury rather than talking about the fact that they're now out for 2 or 3 months.
And it's a tough place, Ian, for Raskin to come back to for his. I mean, I know again he played against Dumbarton, and maybe it was maybe it's one of the hardest games that he'll play Dumbarton on that horrendous pitch. Not an easy place, but to come back when you're trying to get your fitness.
No, again, the pitch at the Easter Road could be a factor as well. Because if we get the pitch that we had a couple of seasons ago that looked more mud than it looked grass, then you could struggle on that. But I don't know what the pitch looks like. I've not seen any pictures of it as yet. But for a grass pitch, it's not one of the better ones from recent memory. Great in the summer, but not so good in the winter. Luckily, he came back before the winter breaks. We got some time out against Kilmarnock, so we've been able to slowly build him up through the winter break, which resulted in him getting quite a few minutes. I can't remember. The Dumbarton game was so dour that I can't even remember if he stayed on the full 90 or came off. But it was good that he got a fair amount of minutes in that game. So hopefully he can get through the full 90. If not, there's an adequate person on the bench in I would say Sterling for him to come on and prove what he can do in that position as well. But it's the same. If we can get the Raskin of this time last year, we'll be laughing. And that midfield, the Lundstrom, Raskin, Cantwell triangle in the middle was something we were kind of like between that and Jack last season. We were trying to work out which was the better one to have. So it's kind of a return to that, which would be nice to see. Maybe that'll help, having three guys that are familiar playing with each other in the middle for a bit, which is quite nice considering the amount of chopping and changing we've had to do due to injuries in the middle of the park. So it's nice to get an actual midfield free.
Every second comment, Connor, right, is and I think this is where we are now as a support, just simply because of the amount of injuries that we've had. Every second comment appears to be, I'd rather played Sterling in the middle of the park.
I mean, there's a case for it, certainly. You can't deny the fact
What's
that...
the case for it?
Well, the case for it is the fact that when he's been playing in recent times, he's been putting in good performances. He has been a standout since he came into that midfield position. He's been brilliant, and he kind of came for seemingly nowhere to do that.
To play over a Belgian under-21 international who is a recognised central midfielder.
Well, yeah, but sometimes these things change. I mean, look, Raskin's good, and I don't dispute the fact. I think obviously he's just back from injury as well, so you've got to be careful of that. But ultimately, when you've got a player who's in form and is playing well in that position, you can always make the case for them maintaining that position when others come back. I get why he doesn't, because obviously you're right, he's not naturally a midfielder. But then again, sometimes players can shift positions and all of a sudden they're actually a lot better. I mean, you look at somebody like, I don't know, Joe Winton at Newcastle was brought in as a striker, and then as soon as he get moved into the midfield, he's a totally different player.
Yeah, but he got moved because he was an absolutely horrendous striker.
Yeah, and we don't know, because we've not seen enough of him, exactly what Dujon Sterling will bring as a defender, because we've only really seen him, I think, is it once, maybe twice, actually playing in his natural position, or his supposed natural position. What we've got out of him in the midfield has been great. So I can see why people are saying it, but I would say, to your point, that you're absolutely correct that Raskin, he is a natural midfielder. We've been sort of itching to get him back because he's a key player for us, and I think you're always going to look at as your Philip Clement. Clearly, when you've got somebody like him fit and firing, that's going to be your first choice rather than the player who's not naturally a striker. And I do think Raskin's better technically with the ball at his feet. I think he can play good through passes and stuff like that. He's got good creative play about him. Not, doesn't always work out for him, but I think he's got more technical ability, certainly. So I could have seen the case of, I wouldn't have been disappointed if Sterling had started. I don't think any of us would have been, but I'm glad to see Raskin back.
I wouldn't have been disappointed with Sterling starting. That's not easy to say, by the way. With Sterling starting, if Raskin wasn't back fit and ready. Raskin is one of our best central midfielders. Why you would not want to play one of your best central midfielders is rather beyond me. Stuart, this is going to get asked every game that he plays until he either is A, sold or B, the transfer window shuts. Do we read anything into Yilmaz starting yet again?
No, because I think he's the manager's number one choice at left back at the moment, based on form. I think you can create a separation between that and all the transfer rumours. So I think the manager likes him, and if Ridvan stays till the summer or doesn't move, the manager will be perfectly happy with that. If the player has indicated that he would personally like a move, then the club, I think, will probably need to look into that rather than keeping someone here who's potentially not happy, but will only sell if they get an offer which matches the valuation that they hold for. So I think there is a separation that you can hold out. I think his performances merit on being in there, and I think he's the manager's number one at left back. And I think that's deserved. How many pods have we done where the comments, etc., of Barisic gets in the neck for even just walking out onto the grass practically. So I think it's pleasing because I think
Stuart, to be fair, Barisic get done by a Dumbarton player. And
Well,
I don't
yeah.
just mean it can happen to anybody, right? Anybody can. I mean, I could probably. No, I don't say it, man. It can happen to anybody, but he was done a peach.
He was in that, but I think there's also an element here where I think Ridvan plays in a style which is more suited to what Clermont wants from his fullbacks. I think, again, tonight, it would not surprise me that you see Matondo dropping slightly deep and you actually find Ridvan more in the middle of the park, where he then, an inverted fullback, he creates an overload in there. He's got the option to do that, whereas Barisic will just hug the touchline. That's fine, he's just a different footballer. But it's no surprise to me, he's still here. So as long as he's here, I think he'll be, as long as his form's decent enough, I think he'll be the first choice for the manager at left back.
Yeah, and I have to agree. I just think he's a better left back. It's just my own personal opinion. I think he's a much better player than Borna Barisic. The one thing Borna's got over him is Borna's got a fantastic delivery. But I keep going to say stuff that I know is going to get me into trouble, so I'm not going to say it. Iain, tonight, how many goals from corners will we lose? Do Rangers train a defence to defend corners? Well, the answer to that under previous managers has been no, and we don't train set pieces. But is that the biggest worry about the night?
On recent games, particularly over the winter break, we've lost a goal. 2 goals against Copenhagen, both from corners. The goal against Hertha Berlin was from a corner. The goal against Dumbarton was from a set-piece delivery, so as good as a corner. There is a worry, but as you said, the man that got beat or lost out in that one against Dumbarton isn't playing. McCrory's not going to be in goal, bless him. For me, one of the main CBs that gets caught out all the time is Goldson from set pieces. He doesn't really jump. So we'll see.
That's because he's really tall and he doesn't need to jump.
He's not Carl Laffy. He's not 7 foot and plays an instrument that we're not allowed to talk about.
Talk about it.
If you watch corners with Goldson, he very rarely jumps at defensive corners. He jumps more on attacking corners and then puts it over the bar. But I think maybe with Balogun and Suter, we might see it a bit more settled. With Super Jack back in goal, we might not see the panic as much that we get because McCrory doesn't maybe command as much as Jack Butland does. It is a worry. I mean, I'm old school. I would quite happily put men back on posts because I think a few of the goals, if we'd had somebody on the post, Stephen Davis, you might have noticed that a couple of those may not have gone in. My biggest concern is how many
don't you dare try and get tactical on this podcast.
I'm not getting tactical. I'm just even with on crutches, put them on a post.
We just do not get tactical. Right, very quickly, Connor, because I'm actually I'm having so much fun. I forgot what time it was. So Connor, the bench: McCrory, Jack, Dessers, Lawrence, Sterling, Scott Wright, Barisic, King, and of course young Adam Devine. In terms of strength, that is a weak bench, Connor.
It's no the strongest bench. Having said that, I think just before the winter break there's a few games where I think we had weaker benches. We certainly had a lot more younger players on them. I think there's a few players there that are natural changes you can see happening in the game. I mean, I imagine that, as I said earlier, Dessers is more than likely going to make an appearance at some point. Scott Wright probably comes on. So you've got that. You've got obviously Barisic and Jack.
Are we saying, Connor, sorry, are we saying that Scott Wright strengthens the team off the bench?
I don't know if he strengthens the team off the bench, but he gives you something a bit different. He gives you a bit of energy. And to be fair, albeit it was Dumbarton and you can't take it from it, he did score a very good goal, on Saturday night. So he can always, the thing with Scott Wright is he can always produce that moment for you. He's always got that in him where you never know if he might come on and just nick a goal or do. He's just
chilling. He's just look. I'm in such a good mood tonight, and I don't know why.
I'll do something. Of course, if you come on late and there's tired legs in the Hibs back line, it's always good to have a bit of pace. Tom Lawrence obviously is on the bench. How much time he'll get, I don't know, because how fit is he? I wouldn't want to throw him in too soon and for fear that he would get injured again, because I feel like that's probably why he ended up getting injured so quickly the last time that he was asked to start playing a lot of games very quickly. So we'll see. But I think it's not the greatest bench I've ever seen, but we've had weaker. I do think there are players in that bench you can bring on that can cause different problems for Hibs.
What are you saying? What are you saying? Martin, you're doing a podcast. Come on now. Come on now. He's giving me the eyes. He's giving me the eyes. So very quickly, Stuart, you were shaking your head there.
I'm kind of done with Scott Wright. Sorry, that's one that we need to move. We need to move on massively. Yeah, a goal against Dumbarton and a goal every kind of short time that we go to Hampden, is not enough for me. We need more from Scott Wright, and I think there's games where he when he comes on, he actually just disappears. So, no, I made my mind up about Scott Wright quite a long time ago. One I would say has to be moved on. No offence to him, by the way, but just not for me.
Yeah, you're looking at strength and depth off the bench and somebody who's able to change a game. Maybe he can in certain games, but it's a little bit worrying. Okay, quickly, Iain, scoreline.
3-1 and Raskin Screamer, because why not?
Connor?
2-1 and Fabio Silva bags his first goal.
Love it. Stuart?
I think this Hibs defence is very gettable. I think we can get at them. So 3-0, and I agree with Connor. I think Silva will get at least one of them.
7-0, and Dessers the first goal in the 80th minute off the bench, and then we'll go on and score 6. There you go. That's the kind of mood I'm in tonight, folks. So thank you very much for watching and tuning in. Thank you everybody in the comments. Thank you to Connor, Iain, and Stuart for joining me. Go and watch the game. Go and enjoy the game. And of course, we'll be back 5-10 minutes after full time is that instant match reaction technically? 10 minutes? I suppose we'll call it instant match reaction. We'll be back for that. Hopefully celebrating a very nice, comfortable win and a lovely debut for Fabio Silva. So yeah, we'll speak to you then, folks. Enjoy the game.